Welcome back, citizens of Tamriel. I'm Cal, and today I want to share my new favorite add-on with you all. Now, I don't think this add-on is actually new, but it is new to me. It's called Personality Designer, and I am completely obsessed with it. As you can see, right now my character is performing a variety of different emotes and using different mementos, and that is all hands-free. So what you can do with this add-on is you can go in and actually specify 10 different actions that you want each custom personality to use. And then the game will cycle through them. You can set different frequencies for each of them, and it really allows you to extend the personalities that exist in the game already. Now, one of my favorite things about it is it actually gives you a reason to collect all of those different emotes and mementos. Normally, you'd have to trigger them manually, which isn't as fun as just letting them play on their own. And I really like the ability to add some personality quirks to each of your characters that are not locked to a specific personality in the game. Now for this character, I am using the brand new Passions Muse personality, but I really wanted to add a couple of additional quirks to it. By default, that personality does alter the /loot command, but it doesn't actually play it automatically, so you have to trigger it manually. With Personality Designer, I can set it up so that it plays /loot, or like in this case, my character will use the /scarecrow emote, which isn't part of the personality, but is another one that I've collected. So let's go ahead and go into the settings menu, and I'll show you what I've created for this character. So here you can see I've got Personality Designer selected, and the active personality I have is the Ranger. You can create a whole bunch of different ones, so you can see I've worked on some for my other characters here as well. But for the Ranger one, I've set the idle time to 8 seconds. You probably don't want to set it any lower than that, otherwise it will disrupt your play. Basically, you don't want to start triggering these emotes and mementos in particular unless you are actually at a standstill. And then the delay time in between actions is the second time. So I've set 12 seconds because some of the mementos that I use in this personality take about 12 seconds to run, and it just makes the animations look a little bit janky if it's switching too quickly. So depending on what you're selecting for your personality, you may want to set that a little bit higher or a little bit lower. And then same thing with the idle time. I think 8 to 10 seconds is probably the sweet spot, but if you're only using emotes, you might want to set that a little bit lower. But if you're using a lot of mementos that animation lock your character, then you'll probably want to set it a little bit longer. So the next thing to create a new one is you go right here, you would type in the name that you want to use, which unfortunately you can't edit later, you just have to delete and start over. So pick your names wisely, create it, and then you can go down here to design. All right, so we are working on the Ranger here, and you can see for each of these actions, you can turn them on or off. So if you want to switch it up on the fly, you can. And then each of the emotes fall into one of these categories. And there's a good list online, which I will link, that tells you which category each emote falls into. Otherwise, it can be a little bit tricky to find them. Some are a little bit more intuitive than others, but things that you would expect to be, say, under physical are not, or under directions are not. So it can be a little tricky to find them. What is nice is that all mementos are just under the memento category, so those are a little bit easier to find. All right, so for my first action, I've got the tracker. Then I've added stretch, which is modified by the Passions Muse personality. Play loot, also modified by the personality. Ritual as well. And then I've added idle royalty and idle heroic. And then scarecrow pose, that's one of my favorites. I've actually got Action 8 off right now, but I'm thinking of adding another memento in the future. I'm working on unlocking the Dark Brotherhood memento right now. Like I said earlier, one of the things I love about this add-on is it actually gives you a good reason to go back and collect all of the in-game mementos and emotes, so you have more options to create this custom personality for your character. All right, Action 9, I'm using the Bone Digger's Trinket, and Action 10, I'm using the Impartial Decision Coin. Now, Bone Digger's Trinket, I think, kind of ties into the Wood Elf Ranger Tracker personality that I'm trying to create here. Impartial Decision Coin is just one of my favorites, so this is something that I'm going to keep working on over time. Now, the other ones that I've been working on are a little bit more thematic. So I want to go ahead and walk you guys through creating a new personality using Personality Designer totally from scratch, but before I do, let's take a look at one of the other ones I've created. So the Gambler is one that I'm using on my Khajiit. Now that character uses the Assassin collectible personality, so I wanted to extend that a little bit and a little bit of a gambling personality to them. So I've used the Card Sharp as sort of my default action here. That is an emote that is unlocked via Tales of Tribute. Crown Store, that causes your character to pop open a little chest on the ground. Drinking from a flagon or /drink, I believe that one is. Eating apple is actually modified by that assassin personality, and it's not something that plays automatically, so it's another one that you can use this add-on to trigger automatically rather than having to type it in manually anytime you want to use it. Greet is another one that's modified by that personality, and then I've added a few mementos to this one. So I've got Juggler's Knives, Coin of Illusory Riches, and then I also added Impartial Decision Coin here as well. Oh, and Throwing Bones, which is another one that I think is kind of cool to add to that personality. Let's go ahead and switch over to one of my other characters that I haven't created a custom personality for yet, and we'll create a new one from scratch. Okay, guys, I am back on my Dwemer Engineer, and this character is using the Cheerful personality, which I think fits him pretty well, but I want to extend that. So let's go back into the settings here, to the add-ons, and down to Personality Designer. And right now, I have it turned off for this character. That's another thing I like about this add-on is it is not universal. So each character can have it turned on, turn off, and it keeps whatever active personality you pick for that character. So none of these are really the right fit. So I think of this character as an antiquarian, and he is, collecting Dwemer relics, and that's what I want him to idle with. Let's go ahead to create here, and we're going to go ahead and name this the Antiquarian. If I can spell correctly, and then we'll go to design. And we want to design the Antiquarian. All right. So I've actually got a list here on my second screen of the actions that I want to add. I think actually the first one is just stretch, which I believe is physical. So this is what I was saying. You kind of need the list. Yeah, there we go. All right. So pose, stretch. I believe stretch is modified by the Cheerful personality. I'm just going to pick a couple others here that I think kind of fit his personality, like dust off. Probably getting dusty from all the digging up old relics. And then I think there was another one, preen, that I wanted to add. There it is, preening under poses and fidgets. I don't know how I missed that. All right, so I've only got 3 emotes for this guy. The rest are mementos because there's lots of good Dwemer mementos. I'm going to go with replica tonal inverter. There it is. Action 6, turn it on. Memento. And for this one, I wanted to use the clockwork obscuros. Next up, another memento, miniature dwarven sun. Now, some of these come from the Crown Store. I'm using a mix, but a lot actually come from completing public dungeon collections, or some even come from just entering or leaving dungeons from dungeon packs. So there's a lot that you can collect for free. And finally here, we're going to go ahead and add one more. This is the Antiquarian's Telescope. All right, so Antiquarian's Telescope, Miniature Dwarven Sun, Clockwork, Obscuros, Replica Tonal Inverter, Preening, Dust Off, Stretch. Okay, so we've got, what is that total? 7 or 8? Oh, I forgot the Dwarven Puzzle Orb. All right, one more. I was like, I think I'm missing one. And I think I want that one to be more frequent. So we're going to make that one frequent. And Antiquarian's Telescope, it's a cool memento, but it actually takes 19 seconds to play, and it does animation lock your character. So I want that one to be infrequent. Hopefully it's less likely to trigger that one. So right now this says 5 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and make that 8. And then most of these are under. Antiquarian's Telescope is the only one that's longer than 13 seconds. So I think I'm going to go ahead with 12 just because that last second, I don't think it's an animation lock. It'll just clip the end of the Miniature Dwarven Sun memento, but I don't think there's actually any animation that's still playing. Well, we don't want that. We want the Antiquarian, 8 and 12. All right, so we are all set. Let's test it out. Okay, so let's test these out. So should be in the next few seconds, we should see the first emote or memento play. And then, all right, there's the tonal inverter. I think that's kind of a short one, 6 seconds. So there'll be a little gap here before the next one plays. All right, I think that was one of the emotes. And then this is the, is that the Clockwork Obscuros, I think? Yeah, so as you can see, I'm not typing anything in. These are just playing automatically. And like I said at the top of the video, I love that you can use this to sort of extend the personalities that come with the collection system itself. And more importantly, it actually gives a use to all of these emotes and mementos that you've been collecting over the last however many years that you rarely get to bust out unless there's some sort of RP thing going on. That's it. I just wanted to share this really cool add-on that I found. I'm going to end the video with sort of a demo of some of the personalities I've created, and I will list on screen all of the different emotes and mementos that I've used for each of them. So if you want to create some of your own based on what I've done, you can. Thank you all so much for checking out today's video, and thank you to all of my patrons over on Patreon. I appreciate all of you guys. If you'd like to join the community over on Patreon, be sure to click the link on screen now. I've got another ESO video planned for next week where I am sharing my to-do list for any new character I create. I figured there's no better time to share a video like that since we're getting our first new character class in, I think, 3 years later this summer. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me today. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.
fine day in the middle of the night. Two dead kings got up to fight. Back to back they faced each other, drew their bows, and stabbed themselves